Delmarva Today with Don Rush.
The 8th annual Ocean City Film Festival is coming soon and features a legendary filmmaker, John Waters. You're listening to Delmarva Today. This is Don Rush. The filmmaker will be on hand to talk about one of his most famous films, the 1988 version of Hairspray, which delves into a number of issues that seem as contemporary today as they were when the film was released. We have John on the phone this afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So I wanted to give it a little taste here of the ad that came out for this particular film to give a sense of what it was like back then.
Baltimore, 1962.
You're looking good.
The heyday of hairdos and hair don'ts.
We shall overcome someday.
Not with that hair, you won't.
Heartthrobs and hefty girls.
Mama, welcome to the 60s.
So I assume that brings back some memories.
It does, even in Ocean City, because the show was loosely based on the Buddy Dean show, which was in Baltimore, and it actually went off the air because it didn't have to integrate. I gave it a happy ending in the movie. But the Buddy Dean show always used to go down and play at Pier Ballroom. They would have record hops there, and all the committee members would come down in a pier and everything. I even have a little poster of it, of the Buddy Dean show at Pier Ballroom or wherever it was in Ocean City. They did it. So yes, it was everywhere. There were those kids that were on that show were as famous as the Mouseketeers in Baltimore. That show was on at its peak on Saturday for 4 hours a day. Can you imagine?
And I love the ad here. It's got that sort of Soul Train kind of feel voiceover to it.
Well, that's the strangest thing about Baltimore, about Hairspray, why the movie really worked, is even stupid racists like it. They're too dumb to realize it was making fun of them. Because growing up in Baltimore, everyone listened to the African-American stations. Fat Daddy, Rockin' Robin, and in WAAN that went off the air every day at 5 p.m. and ended by playing part 2 of Ray Charles' What I Say that wouldn't be played on the white station.
So this was the 1980s when you decided to make this film, and it's about the 1960s, which had come and gone. Why make the film? How relevant did you think the issues were compared to the era that you were doing?
Those issues are still relevant. Do you think today there would be a teenage dance show on television with white and black kids slow dancing together? Think about it. Kids don't slow dance anymore, but it's still a very big issue. I think Baltimore, the strongest point about it is its neighborhoods, but it's also the weakest point, because when you don't leave your neighborhood, you're scared, and you can't be a racist if you're well-traveled.
And one of the things you try to do is you sort of bring this sort of humorous quality to what it seems obvious is a very, very serious issue.
Of course, and that's how you win. You don't preach to people, they run the other direction. If you can make them laugh and smile, they'll listen. And I think Hairspray, it never got in any trouble in Florida about drag or anything, because the fact that Edna is always played by a man is a secret between Tracy and the audience, between the actors and the audience. Tracy Turnblad doesn't think her mother's trans, so it's confusing. They don't know how to get mad about it.
Susan?
Yeah, Mr. Waters, I understand you're going to be commenting on the movie while it plays in Ocean City.
Yeah, I like one person said live commentary, as if I'd be dead commentary.
That's what it said in the promotional material.
I know, there used to be near the LA airport for years this place called Live Nude Girls. I thought, compared to what? Dead ones?
So,
it was always amazing to me. Yes, but hopefully I will be live, and if I die before then, they can prop me up and turn me into a ventriloquist.
well, what kind of things do you plan to tell the audience? One of the press releases said...
the secrets what Sonny was like without Cher, what Debbie Harry said to Sonny to get him to be in the movie, all the behind-the-scenes stuff, and also what it was like filming it and what it was like growing up with that show in Baltimore, and I know some Buddy Deaners are coming, and so I think it'll be a good crowd.
I think so, too. Did you watch the Buddy Dean show?
Yes, of course, every day. You know, I was obsessed by it. But in my neighborhood, it wasn't cool to be on it, and it was a whole different thing. But I remember the girls. I mean, they had the highest hairdos you ever saw in your life.
Right,
They were 12 years old, some of them, 13 years old. You know, but that wasn't in my neighborhood. That was a rebel look. In more blue-collar neighborhoods, your mother had the same hairdo. You went and got your hairdo done at the same time.
Right.
Which is hard to imagine when you look at it. And there was this is a part of the plot of the movie, there was such a thing that one of the girls named Pixie was on the show, and she quit. And it became such a rumor, nobody knew why she quit. And the teenage rumor that was totally false spread that she didn't wash the hairspray out of her hair, and roaches lived in it and killed her. And Buddy Dean had to deny that on the air finally. It was so widespread, the rumor.
Huh. It sounds like a lot more fun than dancing is today, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know. I think kids are having just as much fun today as we did.
Yeah, I think so too. I also want to ask you about another one of your interests, and that's your art. How did you get involved in
that? With why I'm coming to Ocean City, certainly. But, yeah, that's a whole different thing. I keep that very separate from my showbiz career.
Right, but some of the things you do are I don't know, I don't want to say outlandish, but certainly eye-catching, can we say?
Well, I like to tell stories. That's all. I can tell it through photography pieces. I tell it through my spoken word show that I did last year in Ocean City. I tell it through books that I write. I tell it through reviews. I'm a storyteller. That's all. I just need a way to tell a story.
Right. What else do you plan to do while you're in Ocean City? Do you get to stay long
enough
to have any fun?
I'm not going to do much because the next morning I'm leaving at 2 in the morning to drive to Philadelphia to get the only plane that can land in L.A. The time for me to go to the Vanity Fair Oscar party.
Oh, okay. Well, I certainly hope I'm able to meet you. I'll be there reviewing the show.
Well, I'll be there, but I won't be there. I'll be there for the show and, the thing afterwards and greet and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Wanted to ask you, by the way, one of the things that struck me is the whole issue of transgender. That's certainly come to the fore, as it were. And dealing with it. In 1988, that was still relatively new stuff in terms of public awareness.
But here's the thing. It's very different. Divine was not transgender. Divine was a drag queen. Divine had no desire to be a woman. Right. He dressed as that when he was in movies and stuff. It's like RuPaul. RuPaul doesn't wear drag in his normal life. It's a different thing. Trans, the one I remember the most was Christine Jorgensen, the famous headline, GI goes abroad and comes back abroad. And she was one of the first ones, and I tried to get her later to be the Divine's mother in Polyester, but she had retired by then. She was very sweet. So it's a very different thing. And in my spoken word show, I talk about how this has been phenomenally accepted quickly. It took gay rights 3 centuries. It seems like to translate a year. And my favorite thing is when I hear parents saying to their trans wannabe kids, "Can't you just be gay?"
Well, how did Divine see himself in terms of?
He does an actor. He wanted to play the dog. He wanted to play every part. The boy. He played a man in the last movie he made with Alan Rudolph. He played a male gangster. He was a man in Hairspray, too. He plays the racist owner of the radio station.
That's right. As a matter of fact.
Yeah, so Divine was, he liked to play everything. He would be for the trans movement, certainly, but he didn't want to be a woman. He said, it's too hot wearing those wigs and all that undergarments. No.
Too much work.
Yeah, it's too hot to be a woman.
And in terms, by the way, of the relevance of the film today, obviously we still have issues. We've seen, for instance, the issues in Florida, for instance, over race. We've seen this pushback, the LGBTQ community at large. I mean, what do you make of where we are now as opposed to when you made this film?
Well, certainly anybody that comes out against drag now is a loser because it's too late. You lost. RuPaul made it acceptable to all middle America. Everybody knows a drag queen. It's not going to go backwards. It's like the taxi industry blinked and didn't stop Lyft and Uber, but it's too late. It already happened. Same way with the hotel industry. They blinked and didn't stop Airbnb. It's too late to stop it. You can't.
Are you optimistic about it all then?
I'm optimistic about a lot of things. Yeah, I think banned books. You should hope your book gets banned. Then it's up in front of the bookshop, not in the gay section near True Crime by the bathroom.
So, I mean, and where do you see films going? I mean, as compared to, say, where they were? I mean, they seem to be a lot more substantive, certainly a lot more, yeah.
It's a little bit, young people don't like weird art movies as much. They want to go to a mall, see a comic book movie, and then have a riot afterwards. But at the same time, look at Poor Things is nominated for a lot of Oscars. There's a perfect example of a really crazy art movie. So I think people are looking for something out of the ordinary when they go to the movies now. They want to see an event movie, no matter what kind of event it is, even if it's a crazy event.
Crazy event. Yeah, you have anything coming up, by the way? Do you work on?
I've got a million things coming up, but they're all in development. You can't really talk about it. I guess the next big thing I do is I host an annual big punk rock festival every year. I have an Easter show in California. I have a birthday show in New York. I'm always on the road. I got more jobs than I ever had in my life. And I thank the public, which is now really young. They get younger, which is the only thing you can't buy.
That's true. We've been speaking with John Waters. He's a famous filmmaker, and he will be at Ocean City for the 8th Annual Ocean City Film Festival. Hey, John, really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you there.
You're listening to Delmarva Today. I'm Don Rush.
Delmarva Today with Don Rush.
Modernizing the Wicomico County liquor sales system gets a hearing in Annapolis. Ocean City ends its seasonal officer program. Efforts are underway to put the horseshoe crab on the endangered species list, and a look at children whose loved ones have been incarcerated. Welcome to Delmarva Today. This is Don Rush. In our studio this afternoon is Susan Canfora. She's a reporter for Coastal Point. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Don.
So, first of all, we had this Wicomico County executive, Julie Giordano, up in Annapolis, urging lawmakers to pass this legislation that would revise how liquor is sold in the county. What do we know?
Yes, Julie Giordano is concerned that there's a monopoly on liquor sales in Wicomico County. Her concern is about a bill that would allow restaurants and bars to buy liquor from distributors and wholesalers. And that bill is being proposed by Maryland Delegate Carl Anderton. As it is now, bars and restaurants, as well as everyday consumers who like to take a drink now and then, have to buy liquor from a dispensary run by the county. But Wicomico County is one of only 2 counties in the state that have a county-run dispensary system. The other one is Montgomery County. Wicomico's County Executive Julie Giordano testified before the Economic Matters Committee in the Maryland House, and she said she doesn't want to see the dispensary system eliminated, but she does want restaurant owners to have another option. She said there is support for this, although, of course, as she said, politicians can't make everyone happy. Delegate Anderson said the public has had an opportunity to comment on this legislation. He said a commission was formed and that commission met for almost a year. And he said in his comments, how many commissions meet for a year? Surely they had plenty of time to comment. County Executive Giordano also mentioned in the future allowing wine and beer stores to sell liquor. So now we wait to see if the bill passes. And if it does, Don, it will take effect on July 1st.
Now, I also understand that the Ocean City's seasonal officer program is coming to an end. It's been a long time running program. Why is it coming to an end?
Well, they're thinking about ending it after many years of seeing seasonal police officers on the boardwalk and all throughout town in Ocean City. The program of hiring seasonal officers might end after this summer. They will have officers in town this summer, the summer of 2024. The town issued a news release saying one problem is there's been a steady decline in interest in being seasonal officers. And new police reforms and changes to the Maryland police certification process has caused the town to want to stop having seasonal officers. Town officials said there used to be more interest in law enforcement as a career. It was competitive. In fact, there weren't vacancies like there are today. Now police agencies are looking for officers, but there are fewer applicants. Young men and women who want to be police officers are now more likely to be hired full-time instead of starting as seasonal officers and getting their first experience. Town officials are saying Ocean City Police continue to provide protection and uphold ethical behavior, and they want to hire more full-time officers. And that's a problem around the area in Delaware where I work. A lot of these police agencies are having a lot of trouble finding police officers, and they're offering signing bonuses. And so I'm not sure about Ocean City, but I know they are in Millsboro and some other towns in Delaware. So they do have a problem.
So, I mean, you're familiar with these. I mean, and because we have this sort of influx every year, how are they going to deal then with that influx? Because once the influx is done, generally speaking, then the demand for officers in terms of what they need to do generally declines. So I understand that there's an expansion of the season. What's going on? What's the thinking behind
They're talking about it being they've said that Ocean City is a year-round resort for the past 30 years, but it really is more of a year-round resort than it ever has been. That is true. And what they're saying is they're going to ask the town council to hire more full-time officers because they just can't get people to apply as seasonal officers. So that should fill it in. But these seasonal officers, as you know, they're all over the boardwalk. They're all over town. And, people look for officers on bicycle and on foot if they're on the boardwalk and they have a problem. So I think there's going to be a transition period.
And they get some real serious training and as a seasonal officer then.
They do get they get 6 to 8 week training, I think, just like a regular officer gets in they go to the police academy. It's not as intense training as a sworn officer, but they are sworn officers, that they do have all the rights of regular officers, and they do make arrests, and they're very valuable on the boardwalk. So that was a surprise to me to hear that they're going to stop that program.
Any idea, by the way, how much the program cost or anything? Or
I didn't see anything about the cost. No,
Yeah.
no, not. I didn't see the cost, but I know there are a lot of them hired over the years. You see them everywhere, young men and women everywhere.
And we also have the Tidal Health. They're reinstituting some masking. What's going on with that?
They did reinstitute masking a couple of weeks ago when the COVID numbers were up and RSV was up. Now, Tidal Health in Salisbury recently announced that visitors are no longer required to wear face masks. The restriction was lifted a couple of weeks ago when the COVID cases were increasing. They put it into effect, and now they said that both the Salisbury Hospital, and that's Tidal Health, and also the hospital in Seaford do not have to wear masks when they go visit people who are in bed, when they're at their bedsides. They still might ask them to wear masks if they accompany somebody to get a test, like an x-ray, or if a family member accompanies someone in the hallways. They still might ask them to wear masks. And that decision was made on fewer patients being admitted with these viruses, colds, RSV, flu, and COVID. And they also made the decision based on how many hospital employees have called out from work because of COVID and these illnesses. But Tidal Health is still reminding the community that masks might be required in certain situations. But if you go visit somebody in the hospital, you don't have to wear a mask anymore.
So we've seen an upsurge then in this viral, particularly the respiratory issue then?
We did earlier this winter. It seems to be slowing down now. All four of them, common cold, flu, RSV, and COVID seem to be slowing down now as far as the numbers from Tidal Health.
Also, Ocean City upgrading its downtown recreational complex and obviously the skate park.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be really nice once it's finished. It closed last November, so they could do some of these upgrades. And if you're a skater, if you skate at the Ocean City Bowl Skate Park on 3rd Street downtown, you'll remember the park was closed last November, so improvements could be made. And the new skate park will be unveiled this summer. No date yet, just sometime this summer. What the town and skaters call street skate opportunities will be there. And that means there'll be a vert ramp, mini ramp, and concrete street area. And also there'll be other things too, a green space, walking trails, pickleball courts, basketball courts, tennis courts, and a new playground as well as walking trails. And this is really nice. I found this out when I was researching this story. Children with autism and other developmental disabilities will have playground equipment called Quiet Grove Sensory Play Equipment. And that's for children who are nonverbal. There will also be a communication board there. The skate park office building and skaters lounge are also being replaced with brand new buildings. And interestingly, the skate park has quite a distinction. The Ocean City Skate Park is the oldest continually run municipal skate park in the country. So, Don, let's go play pickleball.
And we have some murals, I guess, are going up and that kind of thing as well.
Yes, our artists are putting murals. It's really nice down there. It's large. It's a big space. It's closer to the bay than the ocean. It gets a lot of attention. That skate park is always full of kids and older people that like to play pickleball.
Do we have any sense, by the way, as to how when all these will be completed? Or
sometime this summer is the only thing the press release said. So sometime in the summer of 2024. It's coming along. I went by there the other day and it looks good. It's coming along.
What did it look like? Was it in construction yet?
Yeah, a lot of fencing around it, and a lot of little machinery, little whatever they call backhoes, and machinery that the people ride, the construction workers ride. But it looks like it's coming along nicely. It should be a real nice improvement to the town. It gets a lot of attention. That's a very popular area in Ocean City.
Because I know, as a matter of fact, at one point there was a skateboard championship that I guess they came to Ocean City at least once. I know of.
It did. I think they skated over there, and they also skated on the boardwalk, and they were all over town. But that was definitely the highlight and the center of attention for that event. Was right there at that skate bowl.
Yeah, because I remember there was like this huge. I mean, at one point there was this huge sort of like half moon, I guess, sort of structure it was, and you could like stand there and watch them like go up. I mean, pretty high up in the
those guys are experts. They do flips and they never fall off the skateboard. I wouldn't make it for 5 seconds, but they're really good. They're fascinating to watch. They really are. The balance and the expertise is just something to behold. It really is.
Also, we have the Freeman Arts Pavilion in Selbyville with its summer lineup.
Quite an impressive lineup. Yeah, coming to Freeman Arts Pavilion in Selbyville, Delaware this summer are going to be big names like Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight, Melissa Etheridge, and the Indigo Girls. Freeman announced the lineup earlier this week, and they said, as usual, there will be something for everyone. Not just concerts and singers, but also dance, theater, and children's performances. First one will be on May 31st, and that's the ADA Twist, Scientist, and Friends. Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight will be there on June 6th, which just happens to be my birthday. And Melissa Etheridge and the Indigo Girls will be at Freeman in the end of August. Among other performances are tribute bands for the Eagles, Whitney Houston, and the Beatles. In July, the 287th Army Band will be there, as well as UB40 with the band's Red Red Wine Tour on Sunday, July 7th. More shows are still going to be announced. Some tickets are already on sale, and you can buy them at freemanarts.org. I've been to many of these shows, and they're outdoor on the lawn. They're a lot of fun. If you get a chance, spend an evening listening to some really good music. Sometimes it rains, and I've been caught in the rain there a few times, but everybody has such a good time. They're very patient, and they just wait until the rain slows down and the show begins. It's always a good time. I love to go to those shows.
So I mean, they always wait for the rain to disappear, or are there rain outs every once in a while?
I never had a rain out. I was there when Patti LaBelle was there 2 years ago, I think, and it rained, and they had to hesitate for a little while, and then they postponed because their equipment was getting wet, or speakers were getting wet, and then you know how it is here. If you wait 5 minutes, the weather will change. That's how Eastern Shore is, and it did. It changed in about 10 minutes, and some people had raincoats on. Some of them were just wet, and in the grass. It was summertime. Everybody just had a good time and just waited. And the show was great.
Well, we've been speaking with Susan Canfora. She's a reporter for Coastal Point. Appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you, Don. It's always a pleasure.
You're listening to Delmarva Today. This is Don Rush.
Delmarva Today with Don Rush.